In the ever-shifting sands of today's economy, it's not just wise but essential to have an emergency fund in place. This cushion provides a safety net in unexpected situations like a sudden job loss, medical emergency, or urgent home repair. Financial experts typically recommend having 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses saved up. But how does one reach that 6-month milestone? In this video, we'll give you a few steps to help you build up to that 6-month emergency fund. What is it and why is it important? Before we dive into the steps, let's talk about what an emergency fund is and why so much importance is placed on this key financial decision. An emergency fund is a designated amount of cash savings that is set aside for unexpected expenses. That is its one and only job. It can only be used for home repairs, medical bills, or even cover you if you get laid off from your job. An emergency fund is important for a few reasons. Having this savings can protect your investments. Instead of pulling from your long-term investments to solve a short-term crisis, you can use this dedicated account. It can also offer you peace of mind. Knowing you can handle unexpected costs without going into debt can significantly reduce stress and anxiety. Lastly, it avoids accumulating debt. Without dedicated savings for unexpected expenses, you could find yourself relying on loans or credit cards to pay for financial emergencies. It's easy to focus on your immediate expenses, buying groceries, paying the mortgage, putting gas in the car. But catering to this step is essential for your financial wellness and security. Did you know, according to a Bankrate survey, nearly 1/3 of Americans don't have any emergency savings, and only 18% could live for 6 months off of the savings they do have? Life happens, and an emergency fund can help keep you afloat and out of additional debt during potentially stressful times. So how do we go about building this? We need to build out an emergency budget. This leads us to the first step. Step 1, determine how much you'll need. Before you can start saving, you need to know how much to save. Because your emergency savings is there to cover you in a worst-case scenario, it'll be used differently than your usual budget. You don't have to plan for restaurant expenses or shopping expenses. You'll most likely be cutting out those frivolous costs while handling your financial situation. So if you typically live off of $4,000 a month, you may be able to live off of $3,000 in an emergency situation. Just remember that more is better and safer when planning. How much money would you need to cover all of your necessary expenses each month? Mercilessly cut out anything not necessary, and don't forget to consider all debt payments, groceries, and bills, especially less frequent ones like annual insurances. Once you have a number, multiply it by 6 or how many months you feel is necessary, and this will be your target number for a fully funded emergency fund. Take a deep breath. At first, this number will seem massive and near impossible to reach, but don't focus on that. The most important thing is that we now have a goal and we can start working towards it. There is no specific time that you must build out your emergency fund. Some people may be able to get it funded within a few months, and for others, it will take several years. Just remain consistent and don't stop. Don't worry about how much or how little you're saving. Determine the money you can save and start. This leads to our next step. Step 2, track your spending and reduce expenses. If you don't already use one, try setting up a budget and tracking your money for a month or two. This will give you a really good idea of where your money is going. Most people have the money to save, they just spend it before they can. When you commit to a savings plan, though, you'll find more and more opportunities and extra dollars to put toward your fund. Tracking your expenses will allow you to reduce in some areas or eliminate some expenses altogether. Finding money to save in your budget takes a change in mindset. You have to take a critical look at your spending and cut so that you can move those dollars to your savings. Some people may decide to eliminate all but one streaming service or even quit going to the gym and working out at home to save those dollars. In really driven instances, some people may sell a car or refinance their home. Remember, this is an ongoing process. Once you start looking for ways to save more money, you'll find that more and more opportunities to save appear. But what if you find you can't save or cut any more from your budget? Then you'll have to make more. Step 3, increase income. There are 2 ways to affect the financial equation on how to make more money. We've just talked about one way. You can reduce expenses, but you can only reduce so far. At some point, you'll need to affect the other side of the equation. You'll have to make more money. The beautiful thing about that is that there is no limit to how much money you can make. So this can supercharge your ability to get your emergency savings fully funded. Here are just a few ways you can use to make money. Sell used items. This might be the easiest way to get into making more money. Most of us have many items we no longer use at home. That designer bag you never use, the exercise bike gathering dust, or old electronics can be gold mines. Platforms like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and Craigslist make it easy to sell used items. Channel the proceeds directly into your emergency fund. Part-time or side hustles. It has never been easier to pick up a part-time job or gig work. Tutoring, dog walking, or delivering food are all possibilities with the opportunity to scale depending on how much time you can commit. Rent out space. If you have the ability, you can rent out rooms, garage space, camera equipment, almost anything as long as someone needs to use it. Always keep your eyes open for opportunities to boost your savings. And as you do, you can set yourself up for more success by making all of the saving easier with the next step. Step 4, automate your saving. The easiest way to save money is to make it a seamless part of your financial routine. Open a dedicated account that's separate from your current checking account. This will make it less tempting to take money out. Then, set up automatic transfers whenever your paycheck hits your account. This makes your emergency fund a priority and a non-negotiable part of your financial decisions. This is also where it's typically suggested you keep your savings account liquid, meaning it's in cash and fairly easy to get, generally in a high-yield savings account. You don't want to lock your funds up in home equity or long-term CD. Don't be concerned that your cash is not generating returns. This is not an investment. This money is insurance. It's there to help you in an emergency. Step 5, have a plan for unexpected income. Getting money unexpectedly is always nice, but if you don't have a plan on how you'll use it or save it, your emotions will decide for you. So you also want to think through how you'll handle any additional income. This could include getting a raise, a tax refund, or things like birthday money. Commit to putting at least a portion of these into your emergency fund. Here's a tip. Set milestones. These 5 steps will help you build out your 6-month emergency fund. And because we don't know how long that will take you, the last thing we suggest is that you set milestones for yourself. The prospect of saving several months' worth of expenses can be daunting. So breaking down the goal makes it achievable. Here are a couple things we suggest. Consider setting a monthly savings goal and challenge yourself to meet and exceed it. Celebrate milestones and have a mini celebration to help keep the momentum going. Review and adjust as needed. Life happens, and sometimes you'll need to pause, slow down, or even dip into the fund. Just recommit and keep going. Building a 6-month emergency fund may seem like a Herculean task at first glance. However, breaking it down into manageable steps, being consistent, and occasionally boosting your savings can make the goal achievable. The peace of mind and financial security it offers makes every effort worth it. So start today. You'll be glad you took this pivotal step toward financial stability. We hope you learned something new today. Tell us, how long did it take you to fully fund your emergency savings? If you like this content, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on new content. See you in the next one.